Broadcasting.
Sometimes it's fun in the beginning to capture us just being human, so.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. You guys feel good? Ready? We might do some SRI in this too. Who knows? All right, everyone. Welcome to the Inspire Life podcast. As you know, I'm Dr. Mel, your co-host, one of your co-hosts, and I am so grateful this morning to be joined by some amazing people, Kyle and Steph. And they're here to share some really powerful changes that they have noticed in their own lives. But first, I want to start by saying thank you to you both for just your time and for sharing. I know that it can be a little scary to express your voice and share your story. And so I just want to acknowledge you both. I think a lot of people really connect to story and they really connect to not only people's transformation, but the journey, right? Because we're all human and we all go through stuff and challenges. So I'm just grateful from the bottom of my heart to be able to be with you today and just be a space to hold and listen to your story. So we're going to be passing the mic. We're going to be flexible and dynamic as we all believe in, right? With chiropractic care. I'm going to, have them share a little bit of what they were going through before they started care, because I think it's important for us to connect to the journey. So Kyle and Steph have given me permission to share that they are both practice members here at Inspire Life, and they have had some amazing changes. But I'm going to let them share individually, what life was like, what they were dealing with before I actually met them. So who wants to start?
I'll go first.
Go for it, Kyle.
Okay, so I initially started coming to Inspire Life to help heal my TBI, which was my main struggle for about, I think, a year or two, about 2 years before I started
And for those of you who
Inspire
don't
Life.
know, TBI, traumatic brain injury, like concussions.
Yes, I wore a T-shirt for it, so. Because
yay.
next month is actually TBI Awareness
Really?
Month.
Okay,
so,
that's great to know.
Yeah.
Okay.
Life beforehand was a real struggle. For the first 6 months after my TBI, I didn't even realize that I had one, and I had lost 3 jobs trying to sustain my life, and I just couldn't do it. After that, I realized that obviously there was a serious problem because I couldn't function or keep anything together, so to speak. So I went to see a neurologist, and they found out that my cerebellum was damaged, and they said, oh yeah, we have all these neat tricks and strategies that we can do to heal you. And they did. They helped me immensely. However, it wasn't quite enough. There was still something else lacking because I still had major depression, some serious anxiety, and my sleep pattern specifically was the main issue.
So Kyle, what was happening when you say, tell if you're open to it, what was happening in your life where you're like, something's off, something's wrong? Because I see this often where people have experienced a concussion or a hit to the head, and all of a sudden, they know innately what was happening in your life that you're like, something's off. I gotta do something about this. What was happening day by day?
Day by day, everything seemed much harder than usual. Everything was a constant battle, just a really hard struggle. Life wasn't really fluent anymore. It was gasping for every breath that I could to feel revitalized, I guess. I felt weighed down, and thinking and doing was hard.
Yeah.
Life was just in general much harder. Yeah. So, and mostly that was due to the fact that my sleep pattern was messed up. The TBI strongly affected my adrenaline system. So with that being dysregulated, naturally your sleep is affected by that. And I would sleep for up to 16 hours to 24 hours at a time, and then also be up for 24 to 36 hours at a time without being able to control it. And keeping a schedule like that was literally impossible.
It's not sustainable.
Yeah.
And you knew that.
Yeah.
Your body was telling you that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah, after seeing the neurologist and getting better, I was like, oh, cool, this is going to fix me and heal me and be better. And like I said, it did. It helped me a lot. But after about 6 months after that, I realized, like, okay, I'm still not able to maintain a job. Like, I can function a lot better, but something's still not right. My sleep schedule was better, but still not on track. And that's when my mom found Inspire Life on Facebook, and she introduced me to you. And
When social media
Yeah.
works for
Yeah.
the best, right?
yeah,
Yes.
it really did. So I guess I don't want to. That was just the beforehand.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Keep a cliffhanger. Hanger. And for those of you, if I didn't mention this, Kyle and Steph are together. It's been over a year, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's been about a year and a half.
Yay,
Yeah.
that's exciting.
Yeah.
Okay, sorry. I just had to share that. Just had to share that. Okay.
We're excited too. So,
Yay.
yeah.
It's post Valentine's Day.
Yeah.
We're celebrating
That's
that.
right. Yeah.
Okay, well, we're gonna keep it on the edge, the cliffhanger. I'll mention one thing too, Kyle. Who did you see? The neurologist.
It was Dr. Schmo out of Minnesota Functioning Neurology Clinic, or Minnesota Functional Neurology Clinic.
Yes.
Yeah. Out in Minnetonka.
Okay.
And they did amazing work.
Yes.
Absolutely.
And that's something I wanted to highlight as far as what you've shared. For those of you who are listening to this, whether you have experienced a TBI or you know someone who has, it is a multi-lens approach because it's serious. It's your brain, and you don't see it like a bruise on your skin, but essentially your brain is bruised, and your brain is your lifeline. So I think it's really important that you highlighted that it was very helpful, and it sometimes takes more, and it takes consistency, which we'll get into. But I'm sure Kyle would be open to, if you comment below or however you're listening, reach out to us. He can share the information about that clinic in Minnetonka, but I know they do great work. So I'm going to pass it on to Steph now.
So I'm Steph. So before Inspire Life, I was working in at a desk job, and so I was sitting, 8 hours a day. And when I'd come home, I would sit on my couch and I'd watch TV and I'd eat pretty unhealthy food. And I was very depressed and in a not so great relationship. It just didn't fulfill me or challenge me. And I also have a 6-year-old son, so I wasn't doing what I would call the greatest job being a mom because of my anxiety and depression and overall unhealthiness, not setting a good example. I guess life felt very blurry, and I eventually, because of sitting at a desk for 8 hours a day, I would hunch over, and as Mel talks about, we like to have our eyes align with our environment, and so I would hunch over, but my neck would go forward, and my head felt like a bowling ball, and when I turned my head from side to side, it clicked like a sprinkler. And I would tell my mom about this, or my boyfriend at the time about it, and they're like, you look fine, doesn't seem like it's off, but I felt wrong. And Kyle and I have actually been friends for 8 years.
8 years.
Yeah, about that. So he's actually my son's godfather, and him and I started hanging out again. And he and I sat on my front porch and we talked for hours about where we both were in life, how we're both depressed, and he's going through this TBI, and I'm, been relationship hopping and just overall unhealthy. And that relationship fortunately ended, and Kyle and I started hanging out all the time, and him and I, we went to dinner with his mom, and they told me about Dr. Mel, and they were like,
This is the first time I have heard this, so I'm totally in your story. So that's awesome.
Yeah.
and we're sitting at, where did we go? Buka's.
Buka's.
Yes.
Good.
And we were, and I felt bad because me and Kyla were starting to kind of vibe each other, and his mom kept trying to talk to us, and we're both just locked on each other, trying to not let her know. And this woman, like, they both took care of me while I was pregnant, and so, like, she's known me for just as long as I've known Kyle. And she's, like, trying to talk about all this stuff, and her like, yeah, we're just gonna look in each other's eyes.
I'm just lost. Yeah. Somewhere else now. Sorry, Mom.
Who is this woman?
But she brings up how they both went to this chiropractor that day, and they both felt really weird from it. And they were like, and I'm like, what kind of chiropractor? And they're like, well, she doesn't crack you like most chiropractors. And Kyle goes, she just pokes you everywhere, and then and then you feel different. And I'm like, and I'm for some reason am thinking this lady in dreads on like with like these tapestries everywhere, and like people like around her like doing those weird, like, I don't even know. I was just picturing some weird cult thing or something. I was just like, where are you? Like, I'm interested, but kind of what is this? They're like, no, it's like an actual clinic. Like, you go in and like, you should come with us sometime. And but
place on earth.
Yes.
But yeah, so for the first, I think, like, month or so, I came with Kyle to his appointments, but I just sat and watched. And the more I saw it, the more I was like, I want whatever is going on with him, because he'd come home and go, this is cool. So yeah, that was kind of my start of both of you guys. So.
And Steph, share, I love that. I'll reflect more, but do you want to share anything about just as a woman, like in your body before what you were dealing with?
Yeah, I had a very irregular period. When I was in high school, I was on depression meds and birth control. And after getting off both of those when I was about 18, 19, I gained anxiety from quitting both. The depression kind of went away, but it started coming back later after I had a kid. I went through postpartum. But after getting off birth control, my body could not regulate my period at all. And I tried several different birth controls to either eliminate or regulate my period, and of course to not have another child. I was very young when I had Caden. But I did, so I had the pill in high school. I did the shot. That was every 3 months. And that one gave me heart palpitations. So I quit that, and I got the arm implant. I don't know what that's called.
There's a few brands,
and that one blew me up like a balloon and gave me horrible acne. And I told my mother, I said, okay, this birth control is not to stop you from releasing an egg. This is to make sure nobody fucks you, because I feel so ugly and gross and no confidence. And my mom's like, Stephanie. I'm like, that's how I feel. And so I got off that, and it took 2 years for my hormones to regulate, the acne to go away, and for me to even start fluctuating again in weight. So, but yeah.
Thank you, Steph, for sharing that. And I wanted you to share that because I really resonate with your story, because that's also like what got me into chiropractic. I mean, when I started taking the pill, I gained like 30 pounds. And that's generally the consensus, unless you're open to other, which both of you were obviously open to other strategies of healing. That's why we're all here today. But that's generally what will happen. And it's nothing against the medical system or birth control, but generally if women don't understand how to work with their cycle and be empowered by it, they'll go from pill to implant to the IUD and just not understand how that's influencing synthetically your hormones. And so I think that's really important that you shared that, and thank you. I know that takes courage, especially as a woman, but yeah, I think it's important to understand that there are other options out there, because that's generally the path I see with women, is they've tried all these different things and it's not really working. There's another thing you both highlighted. I'll have to come back to it, but you guys make me laugh. And that was it. They're both parents. And so I acknowledge you both too, like just being here and being in it and committing to your journey. Being a parent, especially like in today's world, is such a gift and a challenge at the same time. Doing what you can to keep yourselves healthy as well as pass that wisdom on. So now, fast forward after Buka, Kyle has immersed himself into the Inspire Life culture. It was awesome to have Steph come in, and see her and have, clearly they support each other, which is very huge and healing, having that partner in your life. Tell me what's changed for both of you. We'll start with whoever wants to start, in your life, in your career, in your family. Like, what has changed? And if you want to share how long you've been coming, free reins.
Yeah. So a lot has changed for me.
You're
mostly,
awake.
mostly the fact that I'm awake and I participate in life.
Hashtag woke.
Yeah, that was
Woke.
that was something I didn't mention, is that when I did sleep for like 16 hours at a time, I would wake up and I could maybe be awake for like 2-3 hours tops.
Wow.
Before it just like I would sit there and I just I couldn't focus, and I would have to just lay down. Like, whether I fell asleep or not didn't matter. I needed to shut my eyes, be in a dark room, and not have any sort of stimulation, because it was just straining is the only word I can put. It was straining and it was stressful, and it would just make me feel overwhelmed and like I was about to explode or something.
Wow.
So that doesn't happen anymore. And if it does happen, it happens on a very rare basis. Now I'm on, this is what I praise Mel for the most, because you made the biggest change in my sleep cycle. So being on a regular sleep cycle and being able to sleep, 8 to 10 hours at a time. And I mean, at first the insomnia was still pretty bad, but over time my insomnia has even gotten a lot better.
Yeah.
I used to sit up for 6 hours at a time. 6 hours was my limit. If I laid in bed for 6 hours before falling asleep, I would just get up and do something.
How long do you lay in bed now, on average, would you say?
Since
you
about
started?
an hour or two.
Yeah, that's
So
almost half.
yeah,
That's
yeah.
huge.
Sometimes you fall asleep pretty fast, and
Yeah.
I'm like,
And
"Hey."
she would
On,
know.
on average, it's an hour or two. But yes, there are some nights now where it's like probably 30 minutes, which to me is like amazing.
Yes.
Like amazing.
Yes.
So-
I want to speak to something really quick. Yeah, that's huge, Kyle. Before you continue, just want to highlight, for those of you who have maybe been in that state of staying up for 4 to 6 hours laying in your bed, to go to almost half an hour is huge. And I want to highlight too what Kyle mentioned with a traumatic brain injury. That's stress to the brain. And so when our nervous system is under stress, that messes with our circadian rhythms, our sleep cycles, our hormones. So as his brain, as I say, was on fire and not firing properly with the exercises I'm sure he did with the neurologist, that's helpful. But getting his spine and neural pathways clear through the adjustment process really helped amplify that, as far as helping his body find more peace and ease and actually be able to tune into his own rhythms and cycles. So I just wanted to highlight that, because I know we have science nerds on, and you could probably describe that too.
Yeah.
But I wanted to highlight what he was sharing as far as helping the system pump the brakes and come into parasympathetic when he needs to, and activate the healthy sympathetic when he's awake during the day, because we don't want to be totally overly parasympathetic, which those are the days you were sleeping for 24 hours. And we don't want to be overly sympathetic, which is the go, 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 where your mind is racing, you can't fall asleep. So anyway, continue.
Yeah. All right. So another aspect that has changed immensely is I am not majorly depressed anymore, as my therapist has confirmed. So that's really good. Yeah. It was a big marker, because I had been diagnosed with major depression since before my TBI. So that was good. That was really good.
I remember when you came in one day and you're like, yeah, I just saw my therapist, and she's basically like, you know what, I don't think you're depressed anymore. And I was like, wow, from a mental health therapist, a clinician, a practitioner, you guys, for someone to say that. And Kyle does the work, right? Like I said, it wasn't just me, and I always give them credit for their healing process, but their commitment with me, with your therapist, with your neurologist, doing acupuncture. I mean, these guys have done the work. So excellent.
Yeah, lots of different medical fields. I've definitely explored many different doctors, that's for sure.
Yeah.
So another major thing that has changed is now that I'm engaging with life and I have a sleep schedule, and it took me about a year for this to like really set in. So like it was an overtime thing, that's for sure, along with nutrition as well. Nutrition was a big part of my healing journey. But now I finally have a job again, and I am working, which is only part-time. It's about 8 to 12 hours a week, but it's still something. Like giving myself to somebody and saying like, hey, you can depend on me to be here at these times. That's really big for me, because before it was like I couldn't give anybody any kind of commitment. It was always, well, I hope I can be there, but if my body and mind decides that it can't function that day, like we'll see.
Right.
That's what it was. So
Sure. I remember when you first came in and I shared with you my recommendations and how I feel like I could help. And I remember you said, I just want to feel like I am productive and of value in society.
Yeah.
And you absolutely are, even if you didn't have a job right now, you absolutely are. And look at your commitment to your partner. Yeah. And I remember Kyle saying, and this is a big thing that comes up, my recommendations are very strong in the beginning because of this reason, this very reason, to get this type of change. I remember you saying, what if I can't make every appointment? And I said, Kyle, I'm with you in this every step of the journey. And I got you. All you need to do is show up. If you're exhausted, if you've been up for hours, just show up here. I got your back. Yeah. And you did. I think there was maybe in the first 3 months of care, there might have been one appointment that you missed because you had stuff with kids and I was I was so proud of you, and I still am. But I remember that was one thing you said, and I was like, I got you. Yeah. I get it's a commitment. I got you.
Yeah. No, I praise the Lord for the healing support system that I had. Yeah. All I had to do was crawl into the car, and my mom would drive me here. So, and I was so desperate to get better. Like I like to tell people, if you would have asked me to hop on 1 foot naked around the building, I would have. I would have been like, yeah, whatever it takes. But yeah.
Maybe I'll add that into your
it doesn't need to make sense to me. I was like, anything, please. Something help me.
Yeah. And now you come here on your own.
Yeah. And now I come here on my own with my girlfriend and, our kids, and everything is just much better in my life, immensely. I do things that align with my values more now. That's also another thing that's changed. Me and Steph, we search for ethically made clothing, and we are pescatarians and have been for a year now.
These two inspire me. They keep me in check, I swear.
Yeah.
They do.
Yeah. Yeah, well, that's awesome. Being an inspiration definitely feels good, and it helps motivate me to stay on track as well. So
we're in it together.
And we also quit vaping together.
Yes.
So that was a big deal. So that's been about 2 months now.
Wow.
Yeah.
So
for those of you, if you do tune in, if you find Kyle and Steph on Facebook or wherever, there's a really great video of this amazing transformed energy of them quitting. And it's that when you want something so bad, you eventually get to a point where you get so frustrated that you're done. And this video really exemplifies that. So you'll have to find it.
All right. Well, I think that's pretty much sums up my story. So
thank you, Kyle.
Yeah. I don't know, hearing him say, I come here with my girlfriend and our kids now, it's just... Starting a relationship with someone who's in a TBI and seeing how far he's come, it's just, wow. And even seeing him share his story during some of your, Thursday Night Thrive Talks, and just seeing him get up there, and he would be breathing before, and I'm like, you did awesome, and that would be it for the day. Like that would be what he could do for the day. But yeah, so it's it's really cool.
You were equally part of that. As I mentioned, having a support system, someone who's with you in the ups and downs.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Oh, absolutely. You were a huge help in my journey of healing.
Yes.
So, huge.
And I don't know, every time he would get up and give that talk, I'm like, this is inspiring to me. And like even Mel afterwards, she's like, you inspire me. This is what Inspire Life is about, is not just Mel inspiring others. It's Mel creating a space for others to also inspire others and you in return. It's just really cool.
Mm-hmm.
So
That's true.
Yeah.
But so for me, since starting care, I've gone through what Mel calls a lot of major shifts. And like I can remind myself when I'm in the car to put my head up and not hunch forward and align my head with the rest of the world. And so that's certainly helped pain-wise. I can go most days without feeling my head, which, I would ask myself on a normal basis, like, do people feel their head this heavy all the time? Or is this something that's wrong? And, when I'd ask people that don't know about it, they'd be like, yeah, I get neck pain, I get head pain. And I'm like, okay, maybe I just can't handle it the same way others can. But now I can, I don't feel it. It just feels like it's where it's supposed to be. Mm-hmm. But also I feel it, if that makes sense. And I feel it in the way that feels just connected. And that's really cool. My menstrual cycle is, I can put my Fitbit in front of me and see that sometimes it lands right on the exact day. And that's so cool. It's so cool. Yeah. And, we all have seasonal depression, but, now I kind of have more resources to kind of push through that and find the light when it's cloudy. Like, it's cloudy today, but I'm here, and that's exciting. Mm-hmm. I think the major thing for me is that when my body allowed me to kind of to flourish more, because I felt kind of caged inside of my body. I couldn't do the things that I wanted to do. And now that I feel more open and I feel like I can contribute to life, I've done a 180. Like, I go to school now for massage therapy because this environment and community inspired me to be a healer and help others. I no longer work at a desk, which is really nice. And I actually work with disabled individuals and help them reach their goals in their life. I myself have a disabled sister and always saw myself helping that community in some way. I enjoyed being around her and her group home, so that's really cool. And I think the largest one for me is, and I say this to Kyle all the time, is that he has to promise me that one day we are going to have chickens like his parents have chickens. Yeah. Because the goal for me is a home that our children can be in, and we have good food on the table, and we have space that we can see. And it's just, when I say we're going to have chickens one day, he knows I mean, I have a goal now, and I know where I want to be. And yeah, getting there is super exciting. We've changed our diet habits, our sleep habits. He watches a lot of parenting videos and inspires me to be a better parent. And I guess the other really incredible journey is my minimalism journey. And just being okay with letting go of things. Because I've always kept everything I've ever owned. And it's just, I don't know, when your body is aligned, you feel like you can just do what you actually want to do. I'm not sitting on that couch next to a person that I don't even like, with a house that I has full of stuff that I don't want, and going to a job every day that hurts my back. Like, it's so cool. Like, now where I am, it's a lot, but it's good. Yeah. So.
Thank you, Steph. Wow. I will just say from a personal perspective, outside of like being Dr. Mel, I'm just incredibly humbled by this work and by both of you and your stories. And what I find really interesting, Steph, about your experience and your changes is that your shedding process, right? You became full and fulfilled by letting go, which is very interesting because I think a lot of the times in our culture, we think we need more or to take on more to feel full. When in fact, for you, as soon as you became more aligned with your innate being and who you truly are on the inside, like everything just clicked. And I've both of you, like, it's like a 180, 360, 1080. I mean, it's a continuous spiral. And I feel as though every time I get to see you both, I notice those changes. And highlighting too, it's not just about the pain. Like, yeah, you had neck pain, and a lot of the times people walk around with that stuff and they think it's normal, and you don't have to live like that. And trusting that instinct, right? Listening to the pain. You didn't numb it out anymore. But how much has changed just listening to that and transforming the pain, and as Donnie Epstein says, going beyond the pain and seeing what's possible for you. And I love hearing all the changes that you've both made as parents, because we have children witnessing this. And that's been one of my visions, is just to help create healthy adults, to create healthy children that then become healthy adults, and seeing how you care for each other and yourselves and passing that wisdom on, and having a goal of having chickens. Like, I want to come over and have chickens. Yeah. And if I have your permission to share about your weight loss, yes. And how much weight have you lost?
So much cool stuff that I can't even. I know. Yes. I was 210 pounds when I started Inspire Life, and now I'm like 160, amazing. Somewhere around there, and it's still not even the end. Yeah. But I can move. I remember the first time I ever squatted down to grab toys off the floor, and I just stood back up, and I was like, normal people do this. This is awesome.
Mm-hmm. Oh my gosh. That's liberating. I know what that's like too. And I think it's not just about the number and the weight, but your ability to tune in with your own rhythms and tune in with who you are and your values, both of you, just allow that to keep processing. I mean, we can go into the metabolism and all of that, but when you are aligned with yourself and you do things you love, it's an effect. Like, living like this is an effect. This is the reality that we all can experience if we get aligned and connected to our true sense of self and our innate healing potential. So bravo, both of you. Amazing. So if I was a person who maybe had dealt with some, menstrual cycles, or not feeling aligned, or feeling disconnected, dealing with depression, TBI, and feeling inspired by you both, because we have a lot of viewers and listeners where I know this story is going to impact a lot of people. So thank you for you both. What would you tell them? It can be one thing. Shoot, I forgot to mute the phone. Whatever. We're human. Yeah. What would you tell them or share with them as far as helping them find that bit of inspiration to take the next step? Because both of you are inspiring. So what would you share?
I would share just being open to all different types of healing, like whether it be this or something else, or like you have to find specifically what works for you. I feel like you can help a very broad spectrum of people, and like that's mainly the thing, is just show up and be open to all different types. Try not to be judgmental about there are things that you will go out and try and they won't work, and you know what, that's fine. Like, they work for other people. Yeah. And if it doesn't work for you, it doesn't work for you. Yes. It's about going out and giving it a true shot, right, and seeing what happens. I guess
that's very wise, Kyle, as far as different things work for different people, because we're different human beings. Someone may get amazing changes with acupuncture and other people may not. That doesn't mean that it doesn't work, but that person may be in a different phase in their life. So yes. I love that.
Absolutely.
Love that. How about you, Miss Steph?
I'm going to go off what my father's advice to me was the other day. And you said this, but I want to, I guess, emphasize it. Show up. That's usually the hardest part, but that's the most important. And I know that that's something that a lot of people talk about, especially when it comes to depression. It's just like, people say like, oh, you're not depressed. You just got to get outside and do stuff. And they're like, well, that's the part that I can't do. And so I guess finding resources to help you to do that most important step, to show up, is, finding someone who can be an accountability partner, or maybe a family member that you can have help you get out of bed. Like Kyle, he wouldn't have done it if his mom wasn't like, we're going right now. The car's warming up. We're leaving. So, if anybody feels like they need, someone to kind of be an accountability partner, I would be willing, like as much as I can do with the busy life I have, like, I want people to feel like they can do the things that they want to do. And if that means finding someone that wants to see people heal, like, go to Inspire Life. And there's so many people here that'll be like, yeah, like, let's do it. Let's partner up and do it together. So show up and be a part of the community. We want you here. So
That's beautiful. That is beautiful. Well said. And showing up is going to look different every day. 100% today may look different 100% in February, July versus February, right? So I love that stuff. And that's something I also really live by is showing up and being of integrity to your commitments. It doesn't mean it's going to look pretty, right? Sometimes you just drag yourself in, but you're there. And that is definitely part of the healing process. That's definitely part of it. And when do you graduate?
So depending on clinicals, by the end of this year, if not a little bit into 2021. Okay. So.
Well, I have not experienced your massages yet, but I do know Kyle can probably speak to that. So if you're looking for an amazing massage therapist in end of 2020, 2021, massage therapy is something I use on a regular basis. I just had a massage yesterday because I'm coming up on my wedding day. Very powerful form of healing too, especially I know how intuitive you are. So, and I think it's amazing when there's other practitioners who are also receiving care too. That's very important, and I stand by that. So I'm going to do a little popcorn with you both, put you on the spot, which, by the way, I acknowledge you both so much, too, because I don't feel like 2 years ago, like this may have looked different. It would have looked different because I know this can be kind of anxiety provoking. So just you guys are awesome. Yeah, I would never imagine that you've had anxiety. I mean, you guys are rock stars. So when I say the word, give me one phrase or maybe one word. When I say the word transformation, what comes to mind? Ready, go.
Fire.
Oh,
word or phrase?
I guess maybe you put this in my head, but just transformation energy. Yeah.
When I say global impact, what comes to mind?
Environment and health.
Sustainability.
Yes, that's beautiful. And share with viewers and listeners, what's one thing that you both like to do for fun, individually or together?
I shoot bow. I'm into archery, so yeah.
Bug Kyle. I love just researching about minimalism. I love watching other people's lives transform. It's fun, and so in turn I end up organizing a lot and coming into his space and changing around his stuff.
Okay, that's good. Yeah.
I love that. When we can become simple and easy in the mind, our external world starts to shift. So it's beautiful. So I'm assuming that if people want, they can reach out to you on Facebook.
Yeah, absolutely.
Is that okay? So Kyle Kamen and Steph Divine, I love your last name. They actually share a lot of really cool resources, you guys, that even I get inspired by. I'm like, wow, I should share this on my practitioner page. That's really good. So like I said, I believe in a world where we can inspire each other, and whether you're, a student, an athlete, a doctor, or just someone who's looking to make change in life, we are with you every step of the way. So I just want to say thank you again to both of you so much. I know that this is going to really impact people, so thank you from the bottom of my heart. And I would love to hear what you listeners and viewers have to say and how this is landing with you. And if you feel as though Inspire Life or both of these two are a place or people that you can find that sense of hope, please reach out to us. Share this video with someone. We're with you every step of the way. So any final remarks from either of you?
Just thank you guys for all listening, and thank you for having us.
Yeah, of course.
Appreciate it.
Thanks.
Cool. Well, as always, everyone, like, comment, subscribe, and keep inspiring.
Yes.
Bye.
Bye.
Hey there, did you find value in today's episode? We sure hope so. And make sure you like, comment, and subscribe.
Also, hop on over to Facebook and join the Inspired Living community. There, Dr. Mel and I share health and wellness tips to help you live your most inspired and thriving life.
And as always,
Keep inspiring.